Shalom, shalom, shalom. Coming to you with a Thursday night down where Esau may try to build up, but with these precepts, we're going to throw it down.
Right.
Kal Yahweh. This week's class is when we're in order with the Most High, we're untouchable.
Right.
Pray everybody's been having a blessed week. You know what I'm saying? And what we're going to do this week is we're going to just try to edify the nation. I'm Soldier E. Hood. As you know, this is Captain Jerubbaal. We're going to go ahead and get into the scriptures tonight. I'm going to start out with Deuteronomy, 7th chapter, 24th verse.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 24.
You know,
and he shall deliver their kings into their hand, into thine hand, and thou shalt destroy their name from under heaven. There shall no man be able to stand before thee until thou have destroyed them.
Yeah. Now, basically, once we keeping them laws, once we are in order, once we are doing what the Most High say do, guess what? He's going to fight for us, right? We hold our peace. The Most High is going to fight for us no matter who is in front of us. No matter who they place in front of us, the Most High destroy each and every heathen nation that was put in front of us. So this is where we're going at this week. This is just a weekly recharge. This is something that I believe we all need to stand on, knowing that when we do what Yah say, we untouchable. Right? Verse 25.
Verse 25. The graven images of their gods shall ye burn with fire. Thou shalt not desire the silver or gold that is on them, nor take it unto thee, lest thou be snared therein. For it is an abomination to the Lord thy God.
God. Again, this is when the Most High commanded Israel to destroy the Canaanites and their idols, right? He told us not to take their graven images, right? Like the Ankh, got an Ankh on, that's foolishness, okay? In regards to it, you definitely want to throw that in the trash, no different from a cross. It can't save you, it can't help you. That's just superstition and mysticism that has no power. The Most High laughs at that type of stuff. That's idolatry. That's the reason why he told us not to, because as you see throughout the Bible over and over, Israel had issues with wanting to worship, and just like the oppressors did. That's why we was told, don't take on the ways of the oppressors, but over and over, we fell to the same snares every time of going right back into that, right? Verse 26.
Verse 26. Neither shalt thou bring an abomination into thine house, lest thou be a cursed thing like it, but thou shalt utterly detest it, and thou shalt utterly abhor it, for it is a accursed thing.
God, so again, you bringing all this African, the crystals with the little, I see these women wearing these crystals. Y'all don't know what that is. Y'all in here doing soft witchcraft. At the end of the day, you out here with the, this topaz, this and that. Get you an ephod, put that on the wall. But those are for priests. At the end of the day, you want to get a gemstone and things of that nature. Don't go to no store where you got a bunch of weird smells and a bunch of weird statues and things of that nature. And you out here, I'm gonna get a crystal so I can get a man. I'm gonna get a crystal so I can get a promotion at my job. I'm gonna get a crystal so I can have more friends. All you're doing is dabbling in witchcraft, and the Most High will punish you for that. He will punish you. He'll break that crystal as well as break you just as easy as that little trinket that you got right in there. Let's get over to Deuteronomy, the 11th chapter. Let's start at 25th verse.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 11 and verse 25.
Yes, sir.
There shall no man be able to stand before you, for the Lord your God shall lay the fear of you and the dread of you upon all the land that shall tread, all the land that ye shall tread upon, as he has said unto you.
God, and this is one of the promises that our people was given when we was actually going through taking back the lands that the Most High sent us into. Mm-hmm. So over and over, he says, no man's going to be able to stand in front of you whatsoever. No man. No matter who it was, no matter how many of them was, the Most High says, no man can stand in front of you in regards to that. And you know what? I'm gonna get one of my favorite precepts, which is Exodus 14 and 14. It's one of my favorites.
It can be a lot too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The book of Exodus, chapter 14, and verse 14. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace.
God. Again, when you're on the job and that Edomite talk to you like you ain't nothing, hold your peace. Let the Most High fight for you. Because he might ride right out the parking lot and get hit by an 18-wheeler. That's the end of him. No more Sam at the job telling you, hey, get over here and do the work. Get over here and do this. But yet, he lets his nephew, who goes and get high on meth, do whatever he wants. Come in whenever he wants to. But they ride you like a rodeo. Hold your peace. I know it may be frustrating some days when your supervisors or your managers or your co-workers try to talk to you a certain way. This is what we have prayer times for. Got prayer when you get up in the morning. You can pray at noon. You can pray at 3 p.m. You have different, oblations that you can actually submit. Raphael waiting right there. As long as you keeping these commandments, as long as you're doing the will of the Most High, you're untouchable.
Let me get this precept.
Go ahead, bring it out.
I'm gonna just read it out, man. You can break it down. The book of Proverbs, chapter 16. Proverbs, like I was going into, man. When your ways is pleasing the Most High, like when we keeping the commandments, this is what the Most High God does for us, right?
Good.
Right. The book of Proverbs, chapter 16 and verse 7. When a man ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. So, like I was going into, like when our ways is pleasing the Lord, like when we holding our peace, knowing we're in this captivity, knowing that we got to endure this hardship. Yes, but when our ways pleasing to the Most High, He'll make the enemies to be at peace with us. Like you say, He'll make it a little light on us, but we got to be pleasing to the Most High God by keeping His commandments.
Yeah. And that's a great point, because at the end of the day, how many times you've been on your job and one of those supervisors that you can't stand and you know don't like you come up to you and say, hey, I put your name in for a promotion. Just out of nowhere. But last week, they were talking about firing you. Now, all of a sudden, they got to come to you humbly and give you that promotion. That reminds me of the situation with Mordecai. When he wanted Xerxes to give him the chariot with all the armor and all the different little trinkets and whatnot, and he thought he was going to get it when he came there in the middle of the night. He said, what should I give a man that saved my life?
Yeah. And
he's like, oh, you should give him this and give him that, give him this, and riding around the city and doing this, that. Say, yeah, take all of that, give it to Mordecai. He was crushed. He was crushed. He had to go out there and get that to Mordecai. That's the same way those actual heathens, and sometimes it's our people too.
Yeah.
And when they got to come to you humbly and say, Dan said, come to his office. You can kind of tell that he don't really want to bring you to that office versus like, oh yeah, I'll have to wait for this day. Yeah, come on, get your stuff. We're going to Dan's office. You know that may not be a little trip you want to take. But when he come over there and he barely want to tell you that Dan called you, it might be something in there waiting that he don't want to hear you get. And that's the way the Most High actually deals with it. That's why I said, no man should be able to stand before you, for the Lord shall lay fear of you and the dread of you upon the land that he shall tread upon, as he has said unto you already. He's already promised us stuff. But guess what our people want to do? They don't want to listen. They don't want to actually do what the Most High say do. So constantly we had to go into captivity by every 40 years, right? That's right. We was right back in captivity. You got something?
Well, yeah, I'm bringing another point. Cause I was going into, let's give another example, man. 2 Maccabees chapter 8. Now, everybody know about Nicanor, man. Mm-hmm. And how we celebrate destruction of Nicanor. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna go into 2 Maccabees chapter 8, and this is going into how when we keeping God's law, how the Lord fight for us, right? Cool. 2 Maccabees chapter 8 and verse 36. The brothers and sisters get a chance to read.
You want me to read it up?
You can read that.
Yeah, I'll read it up. The book of 2 Maccabees, the 8th chapter, the 36th verse. Thus he that took upon him to make good to the Romans their tribute
Uh-huh.
by means of the captives in Jerusalem.
By means of the captives in Jerusalem, right? Read.
Told abroad that the Jews had God to fight for them.
So guess what, man? This is going into the same thing. Like we got a God that'll fight for us, right? Because we are the Jews that the God will fight for, right? Read.
God. And they, and therefore they could not be hurt.
And we could not be hurt, read.
Because they followed the laws that he gave them.
So when we follow the laws that God give us,
I like that.
this is how God fights for us, man. So this is something that, man, all praise to the Most High, man. It just helps us build up in the spirit.
I got a precept to go with that.
Let's bring it out.
Judah 5, 20 and 21.
Right. This is how God fight. Because we got a God of, just knowing that we got a God of war, our God gonna fight.
Mm-hmm.
We got a God that'll fight, man. All praise to the Most High for this.
Right? They gonna build up and he gonna throw down.
He gonna throw it
Every time.
Right?
When you get you go ahead and read it.
Okay.
Judah 5 and 20.
Start at verse 20.
Yes, sir.
The book of Judah, chapter 5, and we're gonna start at verse 20. Now, therefore, my Lord and governor, if there be any error in this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin.
God. So they was planning crafty counsel. They knew that the Most High is only going to fight for us when we are serving him and pleasing him and keeping the commandments. And when we're not doing that, then they know they had an opportunity to have a chink in our armor for them to go ahead and break us down. Continue.
And let us go up, and we shall overcome them. Verse 21. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their God be for them, and we become approachable before all the world.
So they knew that they was going to get embarrassed. So they was hoping like, well, hey, look, let's go overtake them now while we got them in sin. Hey, you know, let's put them that good pork sandwich out there. We're going to put some catfish out there. We got some garments they not supposed to have on. We got some trinkets they not supposed to be wearing. We got some crystals for the ladies. You know, we got stuff for the children to touch that they ain't supposed to touch, because we know once we come down on them, the Most High is not going to hear none of their cries for help. None of their cries for help.
Big con.
Big con. All right, so let's see here. Where are we at? Yeah, we're back in Deuteronomy 11. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to jump down to 27.
Okay. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 11, and verse 27. A blessing if ye obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you this day.
God. So again, the Most High has given us promises, right? He said a blessing and a curse before the people. He gave us the opportunity to do this and get cursed, or you can obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you this day, and live. That's why I say keep the commandments and live. It's not grievous. If you've been keeping the commandments and you know how hard it's not to keep it, it just don't make no sense to go off on purpose. That just makes no sense. Drink to get drunk, smoke to get high. Well, you just destroy yourself anyway, because again, at the end of the day, you ain't gonna go into Rudy Ray Rush church with a pack of swishers and rolling in the back seat and I'm gonna go in the bathroom and smoke. No, you ain't gonna do that. So why are you gonna defile your temple that the Most High gave you to glorify him? We're supposed to be a living sacrifice, not a dying place of desolate. You know what I'm saying? It's sad, but a lot of our people are going through that. You know, a lot of our people are going through that. And like I did class last week on grace, when your grace run out, then what you gonna do? When you in the light, you in the dark, you ain't got no candles because you didn't pay that phone bill. That light bill, because you wanted to pay your phone bill, but you ain't got no lights to charge your phone. What you gonna do? Wait till you're in that situation, man. But you know what? We're gonna go over to Joshua, right? We're gonna see somebody that was actually doing what the Most High said do in regards to it. We'll go to Joshua 1 and let's see here, 1 and 5.
The book of Joshua, chapter 1 and verse 5.
Mm-hmm.
There shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so will I be with thee, and I will not fail thee nor forsake thee.
God, that's the precept to Deuteronomy 11 and 25, saying the same thing. There shall no man be able to stand before you, for the Lord your God shall lay the fear of you and the dread of you upon the land that ye shall tread upon. So at the end of the day, he promised this over and over to those who put in work. In Joshua, he went up and down the land putting in work, running them heathens up out of there over and over. He was worthy of the Most High's request of his service. And we have to make ourselves a willing sacrifice to be worthy to let our light shine. Why let your candle be blown out for nothing? Why tempt the Most High till he take your life early for no reason? Why? He's giving you the opportunity to redeem yourself under the law, statutes, and commandments, and under the blood that Christ shed on the cross. Christ ain't have to get up there. I mean, get punched in the face, hit with a rock, stabbed in the side, vinegar spit on, beat, drag across all the way from here, all the way down Buckner. Who want to do all of that? But he did it for us because that's love. Right? He had brotherly love when we didn't have brotherly love for him. We said, give us Barabbas. And Barabbas didn't even know. He was just like, oh, okay, all right. I ain't going to say nothing. All right, I'm going to go to verse 6. I'm going to read that. What do you want to read? I'll read. Go ahead.
The book of Joshua, chapter 1 and verse 6. Be strong and of good courage, for unto this people shalt thou divide from an inheritance the land, which I swear to their fathers to give them.
Good. So again, he already made promises that he was going to give us the land. So he told us to be strong and good courage, because I'm finna send you in here to take it. Don't go in here afraid. Do what I said do. And that's the simpleness to it. Don't go in there with any fear, because he didn't give us the spirit of fear. He gave us the spirit of power.
That's right.
So, and that's what 2 Timothy 1 and 7. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, he gave us those actual spirits to overcome so much of these actual situations that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. My job told me 7 different times. I mean, I've been up on Capt, and then it gave me another final. For what, man? I don't know. They said somebody said I said this and this, that, but for whatever reason, I'm not out of there. Then they gave me another final. I got up to like 7 finals before they said, hey, you know what? We're going to let you go because you cut somebody gas off on the day that you asked them, they asked you to cut it off on. At that point, I wasn't even upset. I said, you know what? This is the most I want, because that don't even make no sense. But okay, fine. That's what you want. I'm out of there. And guess what? I found out that same job that I was working on, a month later, shut down. The Most High, he going to do what he going to do. He going to move you out of the situation. Then he going to allow his judgment to come through and sweep through there. That's right. And that's how it is. Sometimes you have to look at and say, okay, he took the job. He gave me nothing. He gave me that one. This is where we have to have our faith at. This is where we have to be strong at. And keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. All right? Let's go over to Joshua. You got something on? All right, let's go over to Joshua 10 and 8.
The book of Joshua, chapter 10 and verse 8. And the Lord said unto Joshua, fear them not, for I have delivered them into thine hand. There shall not a man of them stand before thee.
Again, as we doing what the Most High say, we are untouchable. If the Most High tells you nobody's going to be able to stand before you, you're untouchable. They gave me a ticket. Oh, you doing 42 and what? A 20. I'm going the same speed as the school bus. So why the school bus didn't get pulled over? The Most High put on that, I don't know if it was an officer, a resource officer, what. I ain't never see a badge. But he put on his spirit, had this man write my name completely out of order. Make my last name a middle initial. Make my first name a last name. And make my middle name a first name. Now, you know, out here in Texas, for whatever reason, that's an automatically 3-strike shot. So when I went in front of the judge, he basically asked me what my name was, and they looked down because they had me on a Zoom call, and they said, well, this isn't your name? I said, no, sir, it's not my name. Because the Most High already was there. I didn't need anybody in a suit and tie or anything. I didn't need to say anything. I just exercised Exodus 14 and 14. I was just quiet after I told him I had my ID to show you. I gave it to the officer. For whatever reason, this is what he came back with. He might look down, felt a little disgusted. The judge kind of looked like he already knew what it was. And he said, well, we're going to go ahead and dismiss this. You don't owe us anything because it was insubstantial evidence in regards to it. So we can't hold you responsible because this is a Jew. All praise to the Most High, because at the end of the day, not a man should stand before you. This is when you're in the will of the Father, because it's easy to be outside of the will of the Father. You can easily do that. All right? Let's see here. What was that after that? Joshua 10 and 24. Mm-hmm.
The book of Joshua, chapter 10 and verse 24.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to pass when they brought out those kings unto Joshua, that Joshua called for all the men of Israel and said unto the captains of the men of war which went with him, come near, put your feet upon the necks of these kings. And they came near and put their feet upon the necks of them kings.
God. Again, they had courage. All he told them, look, y'all come over here. We finna take over. We finna take these kings. We're gonna put our foot on their necks, and they're not gonna be able to stand before us. Over and over throughout the scripture, the Most High showed he was a man of war. He had his soldiers. He had those who were his people to actually stand for him and to fight for the nation, to bring them out of turmoil that, of course, they put themselves into. But guess what? The Most High heard their supplications and their cries and came and got them like a good father would. He didn't just leave them to be destroyed. He always came back for us, and that's something we have to realize. Doing what the Most High say do, you're gonna have days that it's gonna rain. There's gonna be a lot of days where it's gonna be sunshine. Are you thanking the Lord on those days of sunshine? Are you giving him his praise and everything? So I look at it like this. Me and my family try to implement your first hour of the day, you give that to the Most High. That's your first 10% that you can give, that you can actually tithe right there. Your first hour of the day, give that to the Most High. No matter if it's praise, reading the Bible, just make sure you're not giving it to the world. And that's something that, everybody can probably take and try and implement. I challenge Israel to try and get the Most High the first 10% of your day. When you open your eyes, say your prayers, hey, don't bring out nothing over the world. Anything that has to do with the Most High, implement that. Your day will probably go a lot better, or you'll be prepared for what lies down the end of your day by building yourself up.
And even in this chapter, when you read that in Joshua, I'm telling you, it's a heavy chapter, man.
Good.
Like when you read, let's jump over to chapter 10. We stay on chapter 10,
Mm-hmm.
but we're gonna jump over to verse 13. So when Joshua, when they wanted to get this payback, when all the nations was coming against us, look at how the Most High God did for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's read this. Okay.
All right. Joshua 10th chapter, 13th verse.
Uh-huh.
And the sun stood still.
And the sun stood still, read.
And the moon stayed.
And the moon stayed. The moon didn't even come out, right? The Lord made it stay. The sun stay in the sky, right? Watch this.
Until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies.
So he made the sun still, because he didn't want the night to come. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because guess what? At night, this is what our custom. We didn't go out to battle at night. What we did, we was fighting in the daytime. So the Lord said, you know what? I'm going to keep the sun up there so it won't become night.
Yeah, everybody.
I want y'all to kill all of them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Read.
Is not this written in the book of Joshua?
And guess what? We don't have that book, but we will get it one day when the king get back, right? Read.
So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven.
In the midst of heaven, read.
And hasted not to go down about the whole day.
About a whole day. It means 24 hours. In one whole day, the sun stood still. So the children of Israel can come to avenge the enemies, man.
God,
this is the type of God we got, man, right? God. Watch this, read.
Verse 14. And there was no day like that before it or after it.
So it wasn't no other day like this or before me. Before or after this, it was no other day like this. The Lord had the sun 24 hours just for the children of Israel. So we can get our get back, man. So we can get our lick back, right? Read.
That the Lord hearkened unto the voice of a man. For the Lord fought for Israel.
Because the Lord fought for us. This is what I was going in.
long as we are keeping these commandments, we are untouchable.
Right.
All right, let's see what else that. Joshua 23 and 9.
The book of Joshua, chapter 23, let's start at verse 8.
All right.
Start at verse 7.
Okay.
The book of Joshua, chapter 23, and verse 7. That ye come not among these nations, these that remain among you, neither make mention of the names of their gods, nor cause to swear by them, neither serve them, nor bow down yourselves unto them, but cleave unto the Lord your God, as ye have done unto this day. For the Lord had driven out from before you great nations and strong. But as for you, no man have been able to stand before you unto this day.
And as you can keep hearing over and over, no man can stand before us. Every time the Most High went to battle for us, no man could actually stand before us over and over and over. Now I could go to either Deuteronomy 7 and 16 or Exodus 23 and 31. Let's see.
Let's go to Exodus 23.
Yeah, let's see who that nation was.
See, because the thing is, but you see how they was in order when the Most High God fought. Huh?
Yeah, Exodus 23 and 31.
Because Exodus 23 mirrors a lot of Joshua 23 too. Understand that. Because Exodus, I'm gonna jump over to Exodus 23, 13, and I'm jump back down because this right here goes into what I was going into. The book of Exodus chapter 23 and verse 13. And in all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect and make no mention of the names of the other gods, neither let it be heard out of thy mouth. You see how this going? Joshua chapter 23 is going and saying the same thing that Joshua chapter 23 and verse 7 says. Right? Now we jump down to verse 31. You want to go a little high?
We can.
28. Verse 28. And I will send hornets before thee, which shall drive out the Hivites and the Canaanites and the Hittites before thee. And I will not drive them out before thee in 1 year, lest the land become desolate. And the beasts of the field multiply against thee. By little and little I will drive them out before thee until thou be increased and inherit the land. Dang, that's tough like a bug.
He brought some hornets. Then he said, I'm not going to let the animals multiply too much so they don't be in your way. And he's going to bring them out little by little. Get them out.
That's tough, man. Be con on that, man. And I will set thy bounds from the Red Sea even unto the sea of the Philistines, and from the desert unto the river. And I will deliver the inhabitants of the land to your hands, and thou shalt drive them out before thee.
Yeah, he was on him myself in regards to it, because the Red Sea, we already know when the Red Sea was parted, that's when the Egyptians was after us. And then even to the sea with the Philistines, and from the desert to the river. So as you can see, we went through so many different captivities where we had to leave or go over wetland that's dry land that's wetland. But again, these are those strong nations that was spoke about in Joshua 23 and 9. So that was something, and that was good going up to 13, because with us doing that, was able to get a little bit more clarity going up to 28 to see what the Most High actually did to actually run those Hamites out of there. Now they at the flea market trying to sell fake Gucci belts and Jordans. Let's get Deuteronomy 7 and 6 saying the same thing. Ain't nobody gonna stand as long as we keep the Most High plan.
7 and 16.
Yes, sir.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 16. And thou shalt consume all the people which the Lord thy God shall deliver. And thou shalt deliver. And thou shalt consume all the people which the Lord thy God shall deliver thee. Thine eyes shall have no pity upon them, neither shalt thou serve their gods, for that will be a snare unto thee.
God. So he gave us a warning not to serve these gods, not to deal with them, because we know we was coming right out of Egypt during that time. He commanded us to destroy the Canaanites and all their idols, because guess what? Our people was actually keeping up with their customs. Over and over, he had to separate us. No, don't do that. No, don't do that. Just like if you have a child and your child's playing with a child that's bad or disobedient. After a while, that child's gonna start to take on those ways. I'm gonna run around the same way he's running around. I'm gonna break something the same way he broke it. That little boy a thief or that little girl a thief. Now your child's stealing. So these are the things that the Most High had to separate us, had to pop us on the hand, go sit us over here and say, no, that's not for you. But of course, we ain't listen. Do we ever listen, Israel? A lot of times you tell us not to. Let's jump up to 2 and 3.
Oh, you gonna go back to 7?
We still in 7, but I was gonna jump up to 2 and 3
Okay.
to explain how he warned us not to do it before and after.
Some of verse 1.
Okay.
Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
And when the Lord thy God shall bring thee into a land whether thou go to possess it,
Mm-hmm.
and has cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou.
God.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them, and thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughters thou shalt not give unto his sons, nor his daughters thou shalt take unto thy son. For they will turn thy son away from following me, that they may serve their other God. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly.
God. Now let's go to Judges 3 and 4, because he warned us not to do this, because what we was going to do, start getting with their women, getting their men. Guess what? You get with a woman that's of another nation and you weak to not do what the Most High say do. Now you got crystals all in the house. Now you got a Buddha in the corner. Now you got something over there you can't even pronounce what it is. But guess what? He said put fruit at the feet. Now you put the fruit at the feet. Now you don't even know what God you actually serving anymore. Now every time you look, you got a shirt and you got no fringes on it. Sooner or later, her honey, shave your beard off. You look much younger. Now he done taught you into doing that. Same thing with the sisters. Oh, you ain't gotta wear no hair wrap. What you got on the dress for? I want to see your shape. I want to do this and that. Those other nations are going to lead our people right back into sin, lead us as a nation right back into captivity. We have to wake up. We have to stay away from that. So we're going to go to Judges 3, verses 4 through 7 to get an actual account of us not listening, not doing what we're supposed to do, and what actually happened when we did that.
And whoever Roscoe Flat is on the YouTube, that root class coming out pretty soon.
Yeah.
He's coming out pretty soon. So we're going to go through root 2. So
Yeah.
I'll praise to the Most High for that. What you said, Judges what?
Judges 3, 4 through 7. So I'll let her read that. All right, cool.
The book of Judges, chapter 3, verse 4. And they were to prove Israel by them, to know whether they would hearken unto the commandments of the Lord, which he commanded their fathers by the hands of Moses.
Good.
Right? Can you read?
Yeah, because these were the nations that were left to actually test Israel. That's why the Most High put them there, because he wanted to see if we was going to listen or if we wasn't going to listen. Because as we just read in Deuteronomy 7, right, 2 and 3, and verse 16 told us not to deal with them people. He gave us strict warning and straight commandments. But guess what we did? Go to verse 5.
Verse 5. And the children dwelt among the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, and took their daughters to be their wives, and gave their daughters to their sons, and served their gods.
Now, didn't he just tell us not to do that? He just sat right there and said, do not do it. Do not do it. Right? Like I tell my son, hey, don't do this and that. 5 minutes later, didn't I just tell you not to do that? So now, guess what? Swift judgment got to come, because I'm not going to spare the rod. He know that. He know that definitely. So these are things that we have to look at. When we going through stuff, a lot of times we bring it on ourselves. We bring it on ourselves. We don't seek wise counsel. We don't go to the scriptures. We don't look at what the Most High gave us an example. I'm going to do this to your people. Learn from this. Don't do it so you don't go through it. But guess what? We don't learn. Because guess what? Read verse 7. Let's see what happens.
And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and forgat the Lord their God, and served Balaam and the grove.
Now we out here breaking the commandment. There shall be no other God before me. And what we out here serving Balaam? You know what I'm saying? Out here serving ball, man. But at the end of the day, these are the things that we're not supposed to be doing, because if we would listen to the Most High, we would have been mixing among the multitudes. This is why a lot of times people are like, well, is that a Hamite? I don't know. Is that a one of our people? I don't know. Because at the end of the day, they're not really sure. And the reason why they're not sure is because a lot of them have been mixing amongst the different nations. Let's go to Ezra 9, 1 through 3. Because Ezra was really upset about this, man. Once he realized what our people was actually doing. When you get there, you can read.
The book of Ezra, chapter 9, verse 1. And now when these were done, the prince came to me, saying, the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the land, doing according to their abominations. Even the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Amorites. For they taken their daughters for themselves, for their sons, so that the holy seed have mingled themselves with the people of those lands. Yea, the hand of the princes rulers have been chief in this trespass. And when I have heard these things, I rent my garments and my mantle, and plucked off the hairs of my head and of my beard, and sat down astonished.
So he got to the point where he got so upset, he started pulling out his dang hair and his beard. Right? He ripped his clothes. He pulled a straight Hulk Hogan, ripped right out of his garments. Y'all see the garments that we wear back then? That was hand sewing. It wasn't no sewing machine. Right? But again, he was that upset because we was committing atrocities and abominations, because again, we couldn't stay away from those heathen nations. We kept going back. So now you corrupt the priests, you corrupt that's pretty much not doing what they asked them to do, because it said Levites have not separated themselves. They knew better. They didn't do better in regards to it. Right? So these are the things that we have to learn from. Let's go over to Psalms 106 and 36. Got to stay away from it, man. Got to stay away from all the stuff that has to do every culture that is not of our culture. Stay away from it, because if you don't, you're going to wind up in one of those situations.
The book of Psalms, chapter 106 and verse 36.
Yeah.
And they served their idols, which were a snare to them.
Matter of fact, let's jump up to 35.
Jump to verse 33.
All right,
We'll have I have to read right quick.
Okay.
The book of Psalms, chapter 106 and verse 33. Because they provoked his spirit, so that he spake unadvisedly with his lips. They did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord commanded them.
Because they had a job to do. was to go in to destroy the nation. How were they just? They were going to destroy them, and like I said, we're going into not mixing with them while they were destroying the nation. Right?
Supposed to burn everything.
That's what we were supposed to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Read on now.
But were mingled among the heathens, and learned their ways, and they served their idols, which were a snare unto them.
Yep, and that was the biggest problem because every time they served their idols, they got further away from the Most High, got right back into idolatry, right back into sin, right back what it was doing with the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Hivites and the Amorites. Over and over, as you can see, we actually take other cultures that don't belong to us and we exalt those cultures, and then what? Now they're able to make money off of it while we have nothing for ourselves. And this is why the Most High gave us our own heritage, our own traditions, our own days, so that way we would be separated because we were holy people, like Deuteronomy 76. Did we get 36? 30, yeah, we get that 37.
Yea, they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils.
Read.
And shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons and of their daughters, whom they sacrificed unto the idols of Canaan. And the land was polluted with blood.
And those lands was polluted with blood because over and over, what they did was they shed innocent blood. The Most High said he hates that. He hates feet that run to shed innocent blood. He hates these situations. Once again, they put their children and gave them to devils. This is what a lot of people do nowadays. Well, I'm going to let my child play football on the Sabbath. Then when he break his ACL and TCL and you got to take him out of there like that boy from Buffalo Bills, now you're Lord help me, please. But guess what? If he wasn't out there on that day, he was in class keeping those commandments. He was keeping those commandments. You wouldn't have to worry about those types of things. Because guess what? When you get hurt, they don't care. Let LeBron get hurt right now. Tear his leg up, you can't play no more. It ain't going to be no more LeBron shoes. Ain't gonna be no more any of that. No more movies. They ain't gonna care about his children or nothing because it's about what you can do for me now versus what you can do for me later. You see what they did to Kyrie? As soon as Kyrie started telling them, hey, I know who I am. You know what? Take his shoes away from him. Take this away from him. Don't let him play. Take his paycheck. Don't let him be on TV. Make sure the next story will be on a syndicated so they don't get paid a little bit more. Don't let him go into practice so he's breaking his contract so he can keep that money. They had all types of crafty counsel against standing up for us. You don't even hear from Kanye West no more in regards to it. Because at the end of the day, they try to break you. Now, I wouldn't say spiritually, they try to do it live on television.
But you know, like even with Kanye West, when it boils down to it, and it's got to be something behind the story.
God.
So my thing is I like to dig behind the story to see what was going on. The reason why they wanted to break Kanye, the main reason why they took Kanye West money, he wanted the bank.
Yep.
So when he's trying to start a bank, it has to be something. Every time they do it, somebody just like Bill Cosby and all the rest of them, when they want to do something big, they say, hold on. You want to do what? Yeah. You want a bank? Yeah. Oh, okay then. Take all his money. Mm-hmm. So guess what? Now he ain't talking about getting no bank no more. Mm-hmm. Even though it takes $50 million for him to get a bank, he still can get a bank. Mm-hmm. He still have money to give it. But now, if he pursue it, guess what's gonna happen? They're gonna take the rest of it. So he had to back off of it, man.
I'm glad you brought that point out because the same thing happened with Jay Prince, Irv Gotti, Suge Knight, and one more person. They decided they was going to do and Dame Dash. They was going to create their own record label, kind of like a Motown, and cut all the Edomites out of it and had their own little powerhouse because they had the four top biggest record label. They were going to control the whole United States. Jay-Z went and told Warren Buffett, you know what I'm saying, hey, Dame Dash want to do this and that. He said, okay, no problem. Next thing you know, Jay-Z a billionaire. Got Reebok shoes now. Now they gave him an ace of spades. They threw Dame Dash behind some kind of tax evasion. They threw Suge Knight in jail. They went after Jay Prince, had him all in court. They threw Irv Gotti and his brother in court for like 4 or 5 years. So he took pretty much all their money. And all they kept doing was building Jay-Z up. Jay-Z dealing with the NFL. He doing with this, he doing with that. Because he served his master. He sold his people out and served his master. Just like the Tory Lanez thing. When they couldn't get him to sign to that Rock Nation stuff, they decided, hey, you know what? Now we're gonna say you shot Meg Stallion.
Yep, and even with the Tory Lanez situation, you gotta think about it. He showed them how to crack the internet. Yep. He sold his stuff. When they dropped the album, he sold it out for $1. Mm-hmm. He's selling massive for $1. So anybody could have bought that thing. He sold 1 million shares of those things. Mm-hmm. So he said, man, I did it. I cracked the code. Just go back and look at him. Say, look, watch him. He said, I cracked the code. Man, we don't need them no more. I cracked the code. Guess what happened? Wasn't even a week later. Wasn't even a month later.
Yeah, because he had that quarantine radio too.
Yeah.
When he was on that same thing, when he was live every day, he was the most watched IG for like the whole time when we was in quarantine. Everybody tuned in, celebrities was on there, everybody was bigging up his music, and that's how he was able to sell those little NFTs that he was actually selling for $1 and stuff like that. And you know, I even thought about buying it, but I ain't never do it. My spirit ain't never moved me to buy it and things of that nature. And now, guess what? They got him trying to export him, get him out of here. He tried to put out a little breadcrumb when he did that song, All Praise to the Most High. Mm-hmm. Even though the lyrics wasn't something that, you know, that was pleasing to the Lord, the actual hook is what the Lord was actually, you know, being glorified through. Because he was trying to put it out there, but guess what? They still came for him anyway. No evidence on the gun, and still not out there. Let's jump over to Sirach chapter 7 and 1. This is one of my favorite verses to stand on in regards to
it. Come, this is the book of Sirach, chapter 7, verse 1. Do no evil, so shall no harm come unto thee.
As simple as that. As simple as that. That's the reason why I can stand on that, because at the end of the day, I've seen that work 100% of the time. When you're not doing any evil, guess what? The Most High is going to fight for you, Exodus 14 and 14. Right. And he's going to actually be there to be your rock, your pillar, your stone, your shield and buckler, your armor, everything, because you're doing what he's asking you to do. And when you're not doing what he's saying doing, you might as well go out there with a wet paper bag on, because you're going to be a target. The devil going to say, oh, let me show you that he don't really serve you like that. Because guess what? A lot of us ain't built like Job. A lot of us ain't. You get a hair bump that hurt too much, you be in there, tears in your eyes trying to break it in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? He had boils over his whole body. His wife, hey, you know what? Just curse your God and die. She didn't even care. How was she to pull her arrest at that point? She didn't even care. She just like, hey, just go on and get out of here. His friends came over there talking smack. Like, you must have did something. Yeah, I don't know what you did, but you done did something. All your kids dead. All your sheep gone. Servants gone. Your land gone, your house raggedy, the grass done grew up. Well, what you done did, Joe? But guess what? At the end, the Most High got the glory because he gave him double. He gave him double for his obedience and diligence to actually say, you know what? I'm going through this. I'm going to cry out to the Lord in regards to it. I know I didn't do nothing wrong, but I'm going to take it with joyfulness and glee. And that's exactly what he did. Let's see. Let's get Psalms 21 and 11. This
is the book of Psalms, chapter 21, verse 11. For they intended evil against thee. They imagined a mischievous device, which they are not able to perform.
Well, as you can see, they gave everybody stimulus checks, right? Then that mischievous device was the PPP. A lot of people didn't qualify for PPP, but those who did, who tried to take it to do stuff of the world, guess what? Them Edomites came looking for them. But those people who got those stimulus checks, they were able to actually survive and hold on at the end of the day. And guess what? That backfired on Esau, because guess what? A lot of that money wasn't being spent back with them. It was being spent in other ways where they thought that it was going to get pushed back into their little companies, and it wasn't. And guess what? A lot of them companies went belly up. Movie theaters went out of business. Big stores, retailers went out of business. Car companies had to get bailed out. I flew out here on $29 tickets. I don't know how many times. That plane only got like 10 people on it. But you got to fly a whole plane from Florida to Texas and I get on that mug for $29.
Because guess what? They get money off of it.
Mm-hmm.
That was the insurance money they was getting off of it. Man.
There you go.
And you know, 10 people on the airplane won't go what's say, like it say 10 people airplane won't gonna get no jet fuel for their plane.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? They was getting money off of it, right?
Yeah. Go on. Let's go to Job 10:3. I'm talking about these deception ways that's not working for them.
The book of Job, chapter 10 and verse 3. Is it good unto thee that thou shouldest oppress, that thou shouldest despise the work of thy hands, and shine upon the counsel of the wicked?
So that right there in itself, right, where Job was pretty much weary at that point. He was at a point of asking himself, did it even, because his wife told him, curse your God and die. So he was at a point where he was just like, man, evil is actually prospering. I'm doing what you say do, but I'm in a situation where I'm at my end, right? That's what it says. It says, the work of thy hands and shine upon the counsel of the wicked. He felt that they were actually being able to do more and more wickedness, and they weren't getting any of what he was going through at all. And basically, that's why he had to actually question at that point. That's why when you go to verse 4, it says, hast thou eyes of flesh, or seest thou as a man seeth? Are thy days as the days of a man? Are they years as the years of a man, that thou inquirest after my iniquity and searcheth after my sin? What did I do? He's at that point. What did I do? Like, the wicked people ain't getting none of this. I didn't do anything. I'm giving up burnt offerings for my children. I'm doing this. I'm paying my tithes. I'm doing everything. But yet, I'm at a point where his soul was weary and he was tired. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes we get like that in Israel. Man, I'm keeping these commandments, but I want to go out on Friday night and do this. I want to go out on Saturday and spend some money and things of that nature. Esau, hell, we like Jordans, but guess what? He gonna put them out on the Sabbath when you can't get them. But guess what? That's the Most High protecting you from even building a company up. Now I think about it when I don't get. I say, hey, you know what? Guess what? At least they didn't get my money. I didn't fall into that snare. I wanted it, but guess what? I didn't get it. And all praise to the Most High, I didn't need it at the end of the day, because guess what? We want nice things. We come from that. We royalty. Why wouldn't we want the nicest things that's out there? We set the standard anyway. If it wasn't for us wearing them shoes, they would be at Walmart, $10 a pair. It wouldn't be no Jordan. That's what Reebok at now. Let's go over to Psalms 10 and 2. We're almost out of here.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 10 and verse 2. The wicked in his pride doers pursue the poor.
Mm-hmm.
Let them be taken in devices that they have imagined.
Because we are the poor, as the scripture states. We are the actual poor. We're the ones that pretty much are persecuted in regards to it. Guess what? We found out you got a man in the house, sister. We taking your housing from you and your food stamp. You have to figure it out. So what's she gonna do? Kick the man out? And now that was the structure and backbone of that household. The daughter doing stuff out of order now, the son doing stuff, and now the mom thinking, hey, I might take a shift at Magic Jiggle. You know what I'm saying? And trying to make us some little money back. And these are the things that Esau likes to throw on us.
And you know what? Like, and they had like a study out now, and the guy said that, so it made me go back and look. It said when the woman has, most of the men that's in prison, 70% of the men that's in prison come from a single parent household, and the woman is the head of the house with no man there. But they also got a study out that a man that has the child is likely 70% of the child won't go to jail, whether the woman there or not.
Good.
Like, dang, that's
real spit. Yeah, because Esau think he's slick. Go to verse 9.
But that let you know that a man should be in the house.
At the head of that house, because that he sets the precedent in regards to it. Because the mama gonna tell you to do something, but you gonna go in there and you gonna try and play on her tender mercy. Oh, but mommy, please, can I just look at it? All right, here. But she tired of that. She want to go talk to her friends and go relax and stuff like that. The man gonna stand firm. Right. What did I say?
That's right.
And that's the end of that. Come here. Matter of fact, go get the belt. No, never mind. Okay, then. That's it. So these are the things that need to be implemented. There needs to be a head of household. There needs to be a backbone because guess what? Somebody, you hear a window breaking in the house in the middle of the night, you can't go sing your children out there. Go see who that is for mama. Go on out there. Here go the baseball bat. You're going to hear 2 gunshots. You're going to shoot both the kids. They coming in, you next. Unless a man that's going to actually be there that's ready to meet that actual confrontation head on. And these are the things that Israel has basically been stripped of. Let's go down to verse 9 and see how it was stripped from it.
Verse 9. Mm-hmm. He lies in wait secretly as a lion in his den. Mm-hmm. He lies in wait to catch the poor. Mm-hmm. He doeth catch the poor when he draws them into his net. He crouches and humbles himself that the poor may fall by his strong ones.
And when have we heard that he crouches himself that? Trust not thy enemy. So we know exactly who this is talking about. We know exactly who this is talking about. Because guess what? At the end of the day, he crouching down. Oh no, I want to do this for the better of you. I don't have any problem with your people. Right. I don't have any. I want you guys to have the best schools, but yet our schools don't play the rich schools when it comes to sports. That's right. No, we got to play other black schools. They got the same thing that we got because we finna tear them up. That's right. So when they go to states, they be trying to get people they try and recruit people from them little rich schools from all over the place. So they can at least try and stand a chance because you get a little inner city team that are going there, they're going to eat them for lunch. Because all they know is practice. They want to be on TV. They want to shine. Guess what? They helmets cracked. Their pads falling apart. They cleats are about to rip loose. But guess what? When they get out there on that field, they're going to move as one man on one accord. They want that win at the end of the day. Let's see. Let's get Psalms 37 and 7. I got one more precept and then we go ahead and get the law.
The book of Psalms, chapter 37 and verse 7. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself because of him who profits in his way, because of the man who brings his wickedness devices to pass.
Read verse 8.
Cease from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil.
God, because at the end of the day, we can't really worry about what the wicked are doing, right? We done came into the truth. A lot of times we see it, but guess what? That devil's still waiting right there. Hey, man, take this ride with me real quick. I'll throw you a little something. Knowing good and well, you probably got work in the trunk, gun under the seat, things of that nature. And guess what? You got a child at home, or you might have family members or a wife that's depending on you. That might be your last ride. The feds could be waiting at that stop. And guess what? He going to probably let you take the fall because you came out of the world, but he going to be like, well, I can bring you so-and-so, and I can make it look like you got this and that. And the case that you built on him, you can get moved up to sergeant. So now he done got you to come take this ride. I'm going to throw you a little something. You doing bad. This, that, and the other. And guess what? We got to cease from anger. Can't be mad at what they got, right? And then forsake the wrath, still not being upset about what other people have, not being contentious. And fret not thyself in any wise to do evil. We have to abstain from doing evil at the end of the day because guess what? It's real easy to do it. Because like you always say, evil feels good on it.
Good as hell.
Feel good like a mug.
Until you got to pay for it.
And that's a check that you definitely don't have the cash to pay. All right. Now my last precept is Psalms 40 and 1.
Book of Psalms, chapter 40 and verse 1. I waited patiently for the Lord, and he inclined unto me and heard my cry. He brought me up also out of any horrible pit, out of the mire of clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and established my goings.
And with that alone, we all have waited patiently, right, for the Lord. He has inclined to us. A lot of times when I was smoking, every night, my boy come through. I got trees. Just get the rap. I got trees. And every night, We smoking. And after we done, I go in the bathroom. Lord, please, I don't want to smoke. And I felt like I was a joke after a while. Because I'm like, how many times you gonna go in here and ask for the same thing, but you know, as soon as 6 o'clock comes, you looking at your phone because you wait for that call because you want to get high.
Right.
And I felt like, damn, I'm playing with God. Guess what? One day he gonna put something there where he's gonna kill me. So my prayers started getting even longer in the bathroom. While I'm sitting in there, while I'm looking at my watch, I come out. I've been in there for an hour begging him, take the taste away, take the smell away, take the ability to buy it, the person who got it, the person who gave it to them. The phone number, if I gotta lose the phone, take all of this from me because I don't want it no more. And they got to the point one day, I was talking to the op on the phone, and I told him, I say, you know I be smoking. And it was on the Sabbath. And he said, what'd you say, op? And I said, you know I be smoking. I said it like you know I be playing basketball, you know I be hooping or something. And my spirit was crying out to him for, you know what I'm saying, exposing me. Right. And my flesh is like, nigga, shut up. But I said it again, and once I said it, he said, oh, no, we can't be doing that. And he just went to the scriptures. He didn't tear me down. He built me up. And I really had to evaluate myself like, every time I run into something, do it want to be, hey, that nigga still smoking. He can't control his spirit. As he worked his walk, do the Most High really want him? So I had to really make that decision. And me keep praying to the Most High, he took that condo I was staying in because that was my sin. That was my place of sin. That's why I could sit there. That's where the weed man could come. That's so my boy could come, smoke all night. Ain't nobody gonna knock on the door. The police ain't coming over there or nothing. So when he took that away from me, it allowed me to see at that point, you don't need to do this no more. You're done. Right? So I thank the Lord for that. And I patiently waited for the Lord, and he inclined unto me. He heard my cry. So that's why I ended it with this Psalms 40:1. We have to wait patiently on the Lord. And as long as we doing what he say do, we are untouchable. And with that, I say, shalom. Here at the Battle Axes of the Most High, we do say keep the law, statutes, and commandments of the Lord. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring out a law. We thank y'all for the alms that y'all actually send through the different networks of the how they say it? The GoFundMe and the Cash Apps. We do appreciate that. And those funds are being put to righteous use, you know. So we thank y'all for that. And we thank y'all for tuning in. I pray that y'all been edified. And we're going to go ahead and get the law. And we're going to go to Deuteronomy 7:25.
Deuteronomy 7:25. The graven images of their gods shall ye burn with fire. Thou shalt not desire the silver or gold that is on them, nor take it upon thee, lest thou be snared therein. For it is abomination unto the Lord thy God.
With that, say shalom. You ended it?